All right, guys, what's going on? How's everyone doing today? This is Thursday, August 20th at 10:30 a.m. here in Sydney, Australia, wherever you are in the world. I say welcome. You guys ask throughout the last year, and I'll provide. I got so many questions and recommendations in my Discord over the last 3 or 4 months to bring on and collab with more boxing. Here we go. My boy right here, Keith. More boxing coming to us from the U.S. Welcome to the show, and thanks for coming on, man. This is going to be fun.
I appreciate it, Johnny. I've been watching you for the last year, at least been a big fan, so I'm glad we finally get to collab. And I know you're from the Midwest. I'm from St. Louis. You're from Ohio. I got a lot of
Yep.
family in Dayton, so shout out to
Yep.
Ohio.
Yeah, man. When I first Ohio, St. Louis, I can't think about St. Louis without thinking about Nelly. I'm just old, and every time I think about St. Louis or I hear St. Louis, I'm from the Lou, and I'm proud. Like I'm an old school '90s kid. But so when I first went on, and the boys in my chat will know this, one of my biggest inspirations with creating the community that I've been building was the fact that when I first kind of poked my head into the murky boxing content creator waters, started looking around like a couple years ago, I noticed that a lot of the biggest boxing pages weren't really talking about boxing. They were talking about a boxer, and then it was a lot of toxic and negativity towards other fighters who weren't their own. And when I meet guys like yourself and I watch your content, there aren't many of us who are talking about the sport from a non-opinionated perspective and breaking it down with an analysis, statistical side of things. So this is going to be really fun. Keep doing what you're doing. It's been awesome to see your channel grow as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.
All right, so I'm gonna, guys, in the chat, if you guys aren't in our Discord, it's a couple bucks a month. It is pinned in the chat. You can either join here on YouTube or on Patreon. We started it last August. We just turned a year. We just passed 600. If you're not following more boxing on YouTube, you're probably already following him. But if not, subscribe to him. And more, you got a link on your page to join your Discord as well.
Yeah, and I'll post it in the post section after we
Beautiful.
get done. Yeah.
Okay, and I'll share that stuff in my Discord as well. We're gonna just get straight to the questions. We got a couple different cards, and from what for the boys who watch your channel, we know that you're not just a pay-per-view content creator. You're talking about there's obscure cards that my community is used to as well. There's an MVP card. There's the big one is Teofimo and Raleigh. That's had my Discord divided all week, finding paths to victory for both. For me personally, when I'm trying to dissect and get to the point of reason for my pick, I sometimes will start on one side, and I don't do this intentionally. And then throughout the week, I end up working my way to the other side. Because 2 weeks ago on a live, I was taking Raleigh. That was 2 weeks ago, and
Uh-huh.
now I've done a full 360. I got Teo on points. Is there any sort of fight? But we could start there. Is there any sort of fight point of contention in your group that the boys have been asking a lot about?
It's
Maybe
been
something. Yep.
I'm sorry, go ahead. My bad,
No,
Johnny.
no worries, no worries.
So it's been the TO and the Rolly fight, and it's been split. I think we both have a lot of the same people in our Discord groups because
Hmm.
people mention you all the time in mine. But for me, like when it was announced, I was on TO from the start. The reason being is, and I'll be honest, I'm not like a huge fan of either guy,
Hmm.
but from a sports standpoint, I'm looking at it. Okay, they're familiar with each other from sparring. I don't really weigh much on sparring. It's gonna be smaller gloves, no headgear, but I just think Teofimo is the more athletic guy, the better boxer, and can Rolly catch him? Yes, absolutely. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, which TO are we gonna get in this fight? I don't know if we're gonna get the TO that we saw against Lomachenko, or are we
Hmm.
gonna get the TO that we saw against Sandor Martin? And then yeah, TO had a tough loss to Shakur, but so did William Zepeda. And we saw how William Zepeda looked in his next fight. So did T.O. get better from that loss against Shakur? I think he absolutely possibly could have, but we don't know until we see it. Another thing that just worries me about Teofimo is I just hope the relationship with him and his dad are good going into the fight, and that if they need to make adjustments during the fight, that his dad gives him the proper advice. Because obviously, I hope he done going there trying to trade with Rolly early. I hope he, gives it some time.
Something that probably both of our communities pride ourselves on as a group is being able to have chats like this without getting emotional, without getting personal. And what I like to do with the boys is find a path to victory for both. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to ask you if, and this is a hypothetical, if all of your money was on Rolly, maybe list some reasons why you're picking Rolly. This is the hypothetical, and what would the path to victory for the Rolly bettors be?
So for Rolly, I think the path to victory would be, since he switched trainers and started working with Salas, who has more of a Cuban style and is looking to box more, Rolly keeps his distance very well. And he's going to keep that jab out there and try to catch you with that left hook, which we saw him catch Ryan Garcia with. So I think if he catches Teo with some big shots early and makes Teo hesitant to kind of pull the trigger, then I think we could see a passive victory just because Teofimo, he's moving up to 147. Rolly, everybody knows Rolly can crack. And if he's hesitant about getting hit, or if just during the fight, Teo loses confidence, which we've seen before. I mean, I can't remember who he was fighting, but after the fight, he was like, do I still have it? I think we can see. I just think the power of Rolly is just something we have to worry about, because I don't think that Rolly is going to come in and outbox Teo, but he can make Teo gun shy.
Yeah, this is when I was doing my sort of own thought experiment on taking Rolly a couple weeks ago. That was some of the things I was thinking about. Were like, it's at 147. We haven't seen Teo at 47. For me, it's nothing with Teofimo. It's nothing in the ring. The questions. I think a lot of us will agree it's psychological motivations, inspirations, but redemption is a hell of a drug, and we know how proudful a world champion fighter is and has to be. If you make it to that level, Teo has an opportunity with this to be a 3 division world champion. Raleigh is defending his belt, and where I was getting stuck with actually taking my money out and laying it on Rolly, it was over the 12 rounds. How is he going to win rounds? And we talk about his power, but if we kind of throw the Barroso knockout statistically away, for all things considered, how that went down, he only has one stoppage victory since 2021. So you're talking about a guy in Rolly who's allegedly known for his power, hasn't had a stoppage victory in a half a decade, if we're excluding the Barroso. And are we giving too much credence in the flash knockdown against Ryan in Times Square? Because when you what he did was he kind of domesticated Ryan. That power, the threat of it kind of deterred Ryan. Would you hold Ryan in the same light in terms of versatility as a boxer that you would hold Teofimolopez to?
No, I would put Teo higher as a boxer just because I think of his footwork. And I actually rewatched that Ryan fight, and Ryan was good after he got dropped because he started attacking right away. But then throughout the remainder of the fight, he became kind of gun shy, and he was just circling to Rolly's right hand, which I didn't understand. It was just like technical flaws, and I don't think Teo's going to do that at all. Even if for anybody that's boxed, if one, you should be circling to that jab hand, to the offhand. But if you're going to go to Rolly's power hand, you need to step out and then step around. Ryan's just standing right in range, stepping around right for the right hand. And when I rewatched the fight, I was like, to me, like Rolly didn't capitalize on that because he should have been absolutely nailing Ryan with right hands. And Teo is going to move. He's going to keep his distance. And yeah, he's going to get inside and work, but he's going to circle out because Rolly doesn't have the best footwork. He's very flat-footed, and he's going to rely on that power. But to your point, outside that stoppage that we had in the Barroso's fight, yeah, Rolly hasn't really knocked anybody out. So we could be giving Rolly's power too much credit.
And when you look at the two, both men have two blemishes. Teofimo Lopez, both of his losses were on points to George and to Shakur. And both of Raleigh's losses, he got stopped against Pitbull and Tank. Make what you will of that. So Teo's only lost, never lost by being stopped. Rolly, has never went the distance and lost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a
So
good
that,
point.
that it's something to think about. Now, for the chat commenting, the chat's going wild right now. We're 10 minutes in. We got about 60 to 70 in here. For the boys, if I don't get to your questions, man, don't get offended. I know there's a lot of parlay questions, and we'll get to that. I'm gonna keep it on Teo and Raleigh. I'm gonna bring up this comment from David Goliath 40th. He's a JSB insider. It's funny the narrative we have on Raleigh versus Ryan when Ryan threw less, landed more punches, and landed at a higher percentage. I think David, it's kind of like who had the bigger moments though, Ryan versus Rolly. The only moment we're talking about that everybody talks about when we read about the fight is Ryan getting dropped. Could you remember any other moments?
No, only because I just rewatched the fight. But other than that, I only remembered that knockdown. Other than that, the fight was not really entertaining. Ryan was gun shy and just technical things that seemed way off. And then the next fight, we see Ryan look absolutely amazing against Mario Barrios. So
Yeah,
I
he
just
all
don't
of a
know.
sudden added a back. Like Ryan started throwing his backhand. Like the punch
Yeah,
that dropped. I'm like, where did that come from? The punch that drops Barrios is his backhand. Like now when we're taping Ryan for Connor, it's like, oh shit, Ryan's using both hands to punch with now. That's a
right.
good sign.
Exactly.
When he went from just kind of a one-handed fighter. So David also says Raleigh's jab never comes back to his face, though. It drops to his waist after being thrown. Very easy to counter if you're a technical boxer. Well, Floyd's really never came. I'm not comparing Raleigh to Floyd, but Raleigh was mentored by Floyd. Some guys get away with it, some guys don't. And hiding the vision of that starting point of the jab is a tactic.
Yeah.
So, when he says it's not finishing at the face, it's also not starting at the face. You know what I'm saying? Each punch has a beginning and end location. And so we've seen the success guys like Floyd would have snapping it out there. And then what's David saying? Will Teo be able to counter that? Or what do you feel on this?
I mean, so if he is, he has to be careful with it because it can be a setup. Like he can be setting him up for that right hand, and he does not want to run into Rolly's right hand. Because again, we know Rolly is strong. He has the judo background. I think Teofimo, I just think he just needs to box and move and then kind of wear Rolly down and frustrate him. We've seen Rolly frustrated in fights. And then once he's frustrated, I think that's when Teo can capitalize on that frustration.
I think this is one of those matchups with guys in their careers that have both had ups and downs. Some shout out to GK. I don't know if he's in my group, only GK. He was talking about how he feels his perspective is that in terms of trending, and it should be spoken about. I kind of use it sometimes as an element of prediction. He feels that Raleigh is trending, ascending, and Teo is descending. And if you dissect that, Raleigh is the champ. He is coming off the Ryan win. When we're looking at Raleigh's resume, though, what's Raleigh's best win? You know what I'm saying? Like it has to be Ryan. When
Yeah.
we're looking at Teo and the work he's done, sure he's coming off that whitewash against Shakur, but it's what Shakur does, dude.
Yeah, that's
You-
your
And,
core.
and you brought up a great point. Look how good Zepeda looked after the fight. Even though he was more competitive than Teo, he looked more motivated. And we know how proudful Teofimo Lopez is. Like,
Yeah.
would you be more shocked if Teofimo came in and looked flat, or would you be more shocked if he came in and leveled up?
I would be more shocked if he came in looking flat.
Same,
I
same.
would be very shocked because for him to take this fight again, these guys are familiar with one another. And honestly, I think it would be much worse if Teo loses for his career than Rolly, just because the ups and downs that Teo had. I know he just signed a 4-fight deal, but I think he will have a very tough hill to climb because for Rolly, to be honest, nobody expected Rolly to be at this point in his career.
I agree.
Like nobody expected that, but for Teo, he had all these high expectations, and to come off getting just blown out by Shakur, then if you lose to Rolly, then like where do you go from there? It's it's kind of tough. I think Rolly has already exceeded expectations.
It's something that I've said before. I agree. If you would have said when Rolly was entering the pro ranks that, by his late 20s, he'd be a 2 division world champion, I don't know how many people would believe you. But if you would have said Teo when he turned that, because if he wins, he'll be a 3 division world champion, people would say, yeah, I could see that. Teo, man, early 20s, I mean, this kid is being, fighting Lomachenko. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? Like he was. So back to the point I made about GK, I see what he said about how he feels that Teo is descending, and I do think Teo's best days were in his early to like 23, 22, 24. But
yeah,
I don't think he's completely done, because how he handled I rate Arnold Barboza Jr. I know he's not a big puncher, but from a boxing sense and what he does and the
yeah,
setups and traps he does in the pocket and in the wheelhouse, I'm a fan.
yeah.
And
He's
Teo
solid.
on that, yeah, and Teo, that's a great win. I don't we don't I know you're gonna say we don't like doing boxing mats. I don't even know if Raleigh, how do you think Raleigh would do against Arnold?
Man, I don't. I honestly would lean Arnold in that fight.
I would too. I would. I think Arnold would make it look easy. This is why, if we remove my issue with Raleigh, is that from a game plan perspective, and this is day one in fight camp stuff, guys, you take your opponent, you know his strengths, and you plan around that, and then you use your skills and tools to work around it. Teofimo Lopez is going to know, the whole world is going to know what Raleigh wants to do. Now, if Raleigh had the speed advantage or better feet than Teo to set the hook up, I would be a little bit more hesitant. But it's not like Teo's going to stand in exchanging these 50-50s. He doesn't fight like
Exactly.
that. He doesn't fight like that anymore.
Exactly. He's going to be moving around, and the only I don't see Rolly winning on points because I think Teo's work rate is going to be higher. I think he's going to throw more. I think he's going to land more. I think that Rolly would have to at least drop Teo to win the fight. But again, I don't see Teo. I think he knows what's on the line. And in big fights, yeah, outside the Shakur, but again, it's Shakur. Teo normally steps up when his back is against the wall. People are counting him out. It's like he thrives on that. But then again, we have to say, okay, is the Teo we're expecting going to actually show up? But I think he's going to win on points. I haven't looked at the punch prop. Somebody in my Discord posted them earlier, but I would absolutely be looking at the punch props for Teo to throw more and land more punches, because I just don't think the work rate of Rolly is high enough. And as long as Teo is using angles and not just coming straight in on the center line, I don't see him getting caught with anything crazy.
Okay, so on the betting side, because that's the business of the game. I'm not, and I'm very transparent about this on my channel. I'm not a punch prop guy. I don't like my wheelhouse. I butter my bread on sort of plus money tickets, doubling our money, and then finding like plus 110 to plus 300 underdogs where I feel the book has gotten it wrong. Now with the punch props, this is, if you're in Australia, boys, this is the sports bet book. What was the one you said, Teofimo Lopez to out punch or outland?
Both. I like both of those, but I haven't seen the odds for those yet.
Okay. So what we're getting here is both. Yeah, guys, just check your books then, because it's a very specific punch prop. Where are you putting your bankroll? What is the outcome? Are you just doing a money line? Do you like the method of victory? How do you see this?
Yeah, I like Teo on money line, and I like Teo to win by decision.
Okay. So guys, on the money line, Teo's getting you 42% return, meaning $100 gets you $42 back. And on points, it's an 81% return. So depending on your bankroll, 81% is a good return if your bankroll's, something probably, I know guys who are going to put 1,000 on that to get 800 back. If I
Hmm.
were to I'm going to put you on the spot. Now, with my philosophy, both bets, Teo on the money line and Teo on points, neither one of them give us plus money. Let's move on to another fight of your choice that you would parlay with either one of those two to create a plus money double.
So on the MVP card on Friday, what are the odds for the Avius Griffin KO?
Okay. So right now we are pulling up. So guys, Avius Griffin is fighting Jackson Marinez at 147 pounds. The prop for Avius Griffin knockout is 34%. So you could pair that prop with either one. The Teo on the money line. Well, the Teo on the money line wouldn't quite get you there, but the Teo on points and the Griffin knockout would get you a plus money.
Okay, and then so if I did Teo by points and Griffin by knockout.
Yep. You'd be a plus 130, plus 135. So we're doubling our money. And full transparency, guys, the boys know I didn't talk to more about this. I literally have this play. I put this bet in like 5 days ago and I gave it to the boys. Because
Oh
every
wow.
week, every week I create a double. And if you guys are new to gambling, guys, props it's a crapshoot. Props are going to be, the odds are better because it's more difficult to hit. So I never go full unit. It's not like I'm betting my mortgage on this prop, but I do love it. Teo on points, Avius by knockout, plus 135. It's a ticket that I have in and I've given out to the boys. So I like it.
Oh, we up.
Yeah, we up. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's go. I've heard, this time of the week, in America it's Wednesday, but as we get closer to fight night, it's normal for, some bettors to get questionable, some bettors to get gun shy. We got PTSD from bad reads from the past, all that sort of things. So
Hmm.
I am hearing a lot of people tell me why Jackson Marinez is live.
You want me to tell you why?
Do you think he's live?
I don't think he's live.
Neither do I. Okay,
I,
good.
I don't think he's live. I think his best days are behind him. I think, he was this guy that they hyped up back when he was fighting Frank Martin. And it
Mhm.
was like, all right, this guy's a big deal. And Frank Martin absolutely took him to school. And now he's going up to fight Avius Griffin at 47. And Avius Griffin is a
Man,
savage.
yeah.
And he not coming to go the distance. He's coming to knock you out. And I think he's much bigger. He's gonna have constant pressure and he's throwing bombs. And I just think Jackson Marinez, like coming up from he's a smaller guy. And I don't think he's live at all personally.
I have to agree with that. In one of the angles, people are like, well, Avius was fraud checked in getting stopped against J Rod. I'm like, dude, J Rod's is a good fighter, dude. Julian Rodriguez was an amateur national champion at 15, a 17-year-old national champion. This kid has fought his entire pro career with a chip on his shoulder. We saw what he did as a 5-1 dog against Sugarcane Sandoval.
Yes.
Losing to J Rod, that was a tactical error. And it wasn't like he got washed. It was a late decision. And sometimes when you're problem solving with real dire consequences, things don't go your way. On the other hand, Marinez, he's 35 now. He's going to 47. He's fighting a younger, bigger, stronger puncher in a bigger weight class. Marinez gets stopped at 40 against Lindolfo, who's not a puncher. In my opinion, Delgado lost to Elvis Rodriguez. I'm glad we got the decision because I had him to win and we won a parlay. And then he gets beat by Goyaz, and Goyaz was coming. I don't know you're probably this deep into the weeds as we are.
Yeah.
Goyaz was coming off a 6-rounder in Tijuana in which he lost, and they gave him a win, and he looked completely fried. It was after Goyaz had got stopped against. But anyway, getting
Yeah.
stopped against Delgado tells me a lot about your durability.
And I think his best days I think are are behind him and going up. I just think this is like an alley-oop for Avius Griffin to knock this
Look
guy
good.
out, look good on the MVP card, and then continue to build him under that MVP banner because he's a very marketable guy, very exciting to see. I'm also waiting for, I don't even know if we'll get these KO props, but the young guy Jamal Harvey out of Maryland or DC, but
DC. Yep.
I like him a lot.
Yep.
But
I
his
brought.
money
Yep.
line odds are too crazy, but I don't know if they have KO odds for him yet.
Yeah, I was, and like I said, I think one of the best parts about what we're doing, guys like myself, guys like you, not a lot of other guys. There's a handful. Is that we're creating communities that we could disagree with. So with that being said, somebody in my chat yesterday tried selling me on Jamal Harvey was on upset alert, and I go, bro, trust me, Jamal Harvey is not on upset alert. If anything, this is criminal matchmaking. Like, this is
Yeah.
Harvey's third pro fight, maybe fourth pro fight. Hamid Delaval is not like, I think people still think that American prospects who have a lot of hype coming out of the amateurs, they think of like Carmel Moten versus Anthony Cuba, like that, how competitive that
Hmm.
fight was. Carmel won, but both guys sort of propelled themselves, and we've seen more of Cuba than we've seen Carmel lately. I was like, this is not Carmel versus Cuba. That's not this
No.
matchup. It's not going to be that competitive.
Again, it's another young guy on MVP, and they doing the right thing. They building him up. But
Yes.
Jamal Harvey is nice.
Yes. Hand speed, aggression, his feet,
Southpaw,
IQ.
orthodox.
Yeah, tactical. A lot of boxes get checked with him. Now, to continue on this story that we're telling, we both agree that Avius Griffin is not on upset alert. So, to be the contrarian on that thought, what fight or fighter that you feel has the best dog value of the weekend?
I like Israel Mercado to get the upset this weekend. I
Tell me
didn't
on
go
that.
I didn't go heavy on it. I sprinkled on it. I just did
Okay.
like a fourth of a unit. For full transparency, a full unit is $100 for me. Fourth
Okay.
of a unit, I put 25 on it at 5-1. So he's fighting Carlos Utria, who won the what was it, the WBC grand finals that were back in like December. So that's a guy that he was just signed to PBC. So yes, I do realize, if you were PBC, we going into a fight early on, judges are going to favor you. But Israel Mercado is a guy that his entire career has been a B-side fighter. This is actually the uncle of Tito Mercado. Um, Guy out of Pompano, California. Tough. This guy has never been stopped. He hasn't been active. I think his last fight was in 2025 where he got an upset on the overtime card. But he's one of those B-side guys that matchmakers don't like to put him up against their fighters because of the upsets that he has.
Mm.
So like he fought one of Robert Garcia's fighters, Rubalvaca. I don't know. I can't remember his first name, but they
Rubalcaba.
ruled it. They ruled it a
Yeah.
draw. But Israel Mercado won. But he came in as this big dog, and it was like, all right, he essentially upset Robert Garcia's fighter. Then he fought. It's a guy that fights on Eye of the Tiger Management. Arthur
Beerslanov.
Biarslanov. Yes,
Beerslanov.
so he fought him back in 2021, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you watched him. He has
Beerslanov's a
power,
beast. Beerslanov's good.
knocks people out. Israel Mercado lost, but he went the distance with him in a good fight. I think that fight was actually a majority decision.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this guy coming, Carlos Utria, guy coming out of Colombia. If you look at his early fights, he's fighting no names in Colombia. Then yes, he won the WBC grand finale. But to me, yes, these guys they're building their record, but it's like still like kind of amateur style with how they're fighting. So you got a B-side guy like Mercado that's experienced, that knows, hey, I'm the B-side. So even if he gets a last minute fight, he's already in shape and he's already prepared. He's been at that level. So in the later rounds, I think that he can start to take advantage in that fight. And I think Utria has only been 8 rounds, I believe, one time. And I think that was last December, if I'm not mistaken. So I think this is one of those ones where the experienced guy is going to, come out on top and show that experience.
It's a good take, man. I should have known you would have had a take on the reason, because I've heard a couple people like Israel in this spot, but they didn't lay it out like you lay it out. So I appreciate that, but I have to disagree, and I kind of get big eyed. Like there's a couple Colombian prospects who are, sluggers and big punchers. And watching Carlos at the Grand Prix in Saudi, he was winning decisions, he was going the distance, and he was stopping people. And another 23-year-old puncher, similar to John Arobio. Arobio's one of my favorite prospects. He's also from Colombia, fights out of Eye of the Tiger. Big frame, aggressive. I think Utria's aggression, he's sharp, he gets slug. And I think Israel's, 31 now? So in my
Yeah.
head, all the B-side stuff you said has validity to it, but it's like, all right, things haven't happened for him yet. What,
Mhm.
are they, why haven't they happened for whatever reason? And I think this spot is made for Carlos to be tested in a way. And you got to think Utria's handlers are like, all right, that those tests came with him winning the Grand Prix. He should be able to dominate against Mercado. Dude, Carlos is fast, aggressive. It's going to be interesting to play out. I think I have a small little parlay with Carlos, but I might put together a method of victory prop. But hey, guys, so if you're on Team Mercado, you just got a really high level take and a path to victory with logic from More Boxing. We're gonna move on. Let's kind of chat with the chat. Let's talk to the chat real quick. Let's see what they're
Okay.
saying. It's going, yeah. Should have stuck with Raleigh. Raleigh getting put to sleep. Okay, the boy. Solace playing Clarence. I guarantee. All right. Have you looked, John McGanna? Thoughts on Maeli versus Mortensen? Do female boxing?
Yeah, is
Actually, yeah,
that
I saw
Mayeli
you
is
clear up. Yep.
Mortensen is the lady from that's from Denmark, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Mayeli is the high volume puncher out of Mexico.
That's
I
right.
like Mayeli in that fight.
Yeah.
I thought she really tested who she fight? Ellie
Gottney.
Scottney in the last fight. And prior to that fight, Mayeli was a dog on the MVP card and she got the upset. But when I saw her volume and Melissa Mortensen, so what was the card last week where Sharnika Johnson lost to the lady from Denmark? Yeah, that was
Dina
last week.
Thorsland. Well, no,
So
that was 2 weeks ago. Last
2
week
weeks ago.
was Carolyn Valle on that Salinas
Oh,
card, which yeah, let's not talk about that. I didn't want to bring it up, but
yeah.
fucking
So
hell, that caused dumpster fires in my Discord, bro. That
oh
stream,
my
like,
gosh. And I had that fight going the distance. And man.
man, back-to-back fights. That I don't care what you're gonna say. I've seen to disqualify a girl at the end of the 8th round. I get it. She was holding whatever. The live odds, she was minus 800. She's the champion. And then the next fight for Troy to get a point deducted for a kidney punch. I'm like, what are we watching? Like,
Yeah, that card.
like,
And then there was another fight where the ref was just like, let him go. Let him
yeah,
go.
it
I'm like, so
was
can you hold or can you not hold?
exactly. And so yeah, let's not talk about Carolyn Valle.
So
I think you were talking about Dina, right?
yeah, Dina. Yeah. So something I noticed, and like it seems like the women coming out of Denmark, I don't know if it's something in the water, but they can punch. So I noticed the same thing with Melissa Mortensen, but she doesn't have the movement, she doesn't have the boxing. She's just coming in there from the footage that I've seen to exchange. And when you're going to fight Mexican style with somebody from Mexico, I think you're losing that fight 9 times out of 10. Mayeli's a good boxer. She can roll, she time shots, and she's going to keep the pressure on and she's going to be in her chest and she doesn't get tired. Because you would look at her and be like, wait, she's got that type of work rate.
I know. It's crazy.
And then
It's
rolling shots, she throwing,
yeah.
but I really like her. When the odds first opened, they had her as a dog, and I didn't jump.
I
on
got
it.
her
It was on
I got her a
FanDuel.
plus 160.
Oh, you got her plus.
Yeah, dude. Now look at this. Look at this is called an avalanche, boys and girls. These odds have fallen off of a cliff. Somebody must have got her a plus 195. I didn't see her at plus 190. She started at plus 195 and then just
And see,
avalanche.
and then I was out of town, so I could just see the odds. So in Florida, we have Hard Rock. I was in the Midwest, so I could see the odds on FanDuel, and I'm like, all right, when I get back home, I'll put money on her. But after like not even a day, she was the favorite. I'm like,
It's crazy.
I missed out on that, but I think she wins. I think it goes the distance because it's 2-minute rounds. I don't really bet stoppages on women's fights a lot, but I do think like Amanda Serrano is going to get the stoppage.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I like Flores.
You're a strength coach too, right?
Yeah, yep.
So that's another parallel. You know, we're both strength and conditioning coaches. Why I bring that up? Because some of the boys in the chat, they're like, when you talk to more, it better not be a strength and conditioning live stream. I was like, I know what the script is, boys. I know what the script is. But I will reference this because as a fellow strength coach, when you watch Maeli versus Ellie, and you realize that Maeli she is a former world champion, and you see what she looks like optically, and then you see the output, the pace and determination. What does that tell you about the fighter?
As far as if I'm comparing Mayeli, talking
No,
about
no, 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 no. As far as the sort of prep work it takes to perform at
to
that
perform at
level.
that level.
So as a strength coach, what does that tell you about her, about how she's wired?
Also, that's one that tells me she's doing her road work. She's not taking shortcuts. She's taking her diet serious. And then when she's prepping for a fight, she's probably going away somewhere and completely locked in, because the only way to maintain that work rate is not only if you're doing your miles, but you're sprinting, you're not taking shortcuts in the gym, and nutrition wise, you're sticking to that. I mean, and then in Mexico, they're training in elevation. So she's training at a higher elevation. I don't know if she's running in the mountains, but it looks like she's doing like some serious road work. And then her sparring, she's probably sparring 3-minute rounds, I would imagine, and taking 30-second rest breaks, because she just does not stop going. So that just tells me her conditioning is on point.
It's admirable. As we age as men, and you're still tapping into leveling up, which we should all do. We should all want to get better as we age. It for me, when I see that style, it's inspiring. I'm like, Jesus, she's in her early 30s. Ellie Scottney is no picnic. Ellie Scottney is young, strong, fit. She was a massive favorite. And after the fight, Ellie's face was all cut up, like bruised, and she was talking about it. One of the judges had it 90, 94, 96. The other two had it like a whitewash. But I'll pick that. That's why I jumped on her plus 180. I'll take that dog any day of the week. It's kind of like when I see a fighter who weaponizes their cardio, like a William Zepeda as well. And if ever, I've told my group ad nauseum, if ever I see any fighter that at the world level who weaponizes their cardio and we
Mm-hmm.
get them at plus money, I'm going all in. And then
Yeah.
I'll create the path from there. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's with her opponent, the girl from Denmark. There's a couple of first time out of Denmark. She will punch with you, but she drops her hands a lot, and she's a slow starter. I'm not saying like usually I never play knockouts on ladies. I'll play Gabby Fondora by knockout, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll definitely play Amanda this weekend. I think MVP. Jake, we know about Jake Paul and his marketing. They want the knockout record. Christy Martin's going to be in the ringside. We just saw what happened with the Goat. We know about the back and forth between the Goat and
Yeah.
Amanda. So I really like Amanda that knockout spot. But dude, I could see a world, and maybe this is me being a hopeless optimist. But at plus 550 with Mortensen being a little bit green, 23, not a lot of pro experience, being pushed into those deep waters. I don't know. I think it might be worth a little sneaky sprinkle because Miami
Yeah.
can punch.
Yeah. I can't disagree with you there,
Like a
because
volume, like a
once,
volume stoppage, like one of these where she just
yeah,
falls
where you
apart
just on the
technically.
ropes, just
Yeah, that's so
and
one of those.
yeah,
She could you
because the
yeah,
volume is going to, it's going to be a heat check, and we're going to see, like, are you ready for this, with somebody just constantly
it's
punching
crazy.
back, not
Yeah,
backing up, that's not going to get tired.
it's a crazy style. So John McGann, shout out to the Seahawks, Jackson Smith and Jigba. Let's go Buckeyes. He says more money. Thoughts on Antonio Russell versus Santine?
That's another one I wanted to talk about.
Let's
So,
get it.
somebody said Buckeyes. I went to Purdue, by the way. So Buckeyes.
Okay, you went to Purdue.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, still to this day, he's a Boilermaker. He was a kicker there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
2001 to 2003. I ended up
Okay. I
going to
was
Pitt.
there from '07 to 2012.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Big Ten in the house. Let's go.
So Gary Russell, that's another fight that when it opened up, well, it was interesting. On FanDuel, Gary Russell was a dog, but on Bet365 and Hard Rock, he opened up as a favorite. So automatically I was like, he was like plus one on FanDuel. I want to say like plus 150 or something like that when it opened.
Damn.
But the other apps had him as a favorite. And then Bet365, people kept putting money on him. So I got him at minus 120.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll call off right off the back. A lot of people are worried about the inactivity of Gary Russell. That's just something that family does. They
Mm-hmm.
fight once a year. I wish all of them would be more active, but they always stay in the gym. I do like that.
Same.
And Santillan, he can punch. One criticism I do have of him, like when he fought Tenshin Nasukawa in Japan, he can punch, but he doesn't work well behind his jab. Like, yeah, if he's able to land big shots, he'll look to walk you down. But when you hit him back, he's going to like hesitate. He's going to look to back up. And Gary Russell, who was he lost to that Puerto Rican fighter? I cannot
Was it
remember his name.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he lost to him. Now he can box, he can punch, and he can box. Santillan, he's a decent boxer. He moves decent on his foot, but when you put him on his back foot, he's not really going to be throwing a lot of punches. He's going to be the guy that wants to come forward. And then something else that Nasukawa and Russell have in common, they're both southpaw fighters. So we've seen how Santillan does against a southpaw fighter. I think that the Gary Russell, I mean, he has power as well. So it's not, you're not just going to walk him down, but he can box. Like in the fight when he had with Rodriguez, I think it's the DC in him where sometimes he wants to just bang and exchange. But then he starts boxing, he measures his distance well, and he can counterpunch. I think that's going to be the biggest thing in this fight. Him looking at Santillan load up, because he loads up on shots and he leaves himself wide open to counters, and then just really looking to outbox Santillan. So I like Gary Russell in that fight. I did take him at -120. I like him to win that one by decision, but I do think it's going to be a competitive fight, and I think it's going to be moments in the fight where Gary Russell scares me, and I'm going to be like, get out of there. But I think he'll come out and get the victory. I've followed all of the Russell's career very closely, and I've seen him fight at Pro Box before, so he's solid. I just wish he would be more active.
Yeah, the activity is a question. I mean, it's like I got Antonio at 72% when I got him and on the money line, and then I paired on a separate money line double. I took Antonio and Teo on the money line, and it's like plus 145, and I love that bet. I just rewatched Antonio's last two. Mate, he has that his hand speed, man. He is when he is at range, his hand he has the Russell family hand speed, not quite as fast as his older brothers. I always say people forget due to the inactivity. Gary Russell Jr.'s hand speed is generational. Generational, man. And I just saw on Instagram, and I love that they don't have social media. I love that they're not in it for the clout, but they're a boxing family, like you said.
Yeah.
I like the revelry for the father, RIP. I like the revelry for their faith. I like that discipline, especially in the fight game. When you have a unit that you could fall back on, like brothers who have been world champions or are world champions, that's only a positive. With Santillan, the loss to Tenshin, like, did you watch Tenshin's last fight versus El Gallo in Japan?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I was up early for that fight.
Bro, that version of him is like the version that people were expecting coming from the kickboxing sport that's taken him a little while. I actually like Tenshin now to beat Takuma. And people are like, he's fighting Inoue's brother.
Ooh, yeah,
And
next month.
And he's a dog. And so I like him, and I like Sam Goodman against Nishida. But that's a whole nother, we'll do another live.
That's September also, right?
On the same card.
Yeah, we got to do another live for that.
For sure.
I want to do another live to talk about it's a pro box fight in September. Dominique Valle versus Francisco Scarborough.
100%. We'll be doing more of these, man. The pro box produces diamonds in the rough. Like, I'm still waiting for, do you know about a guy named Velsant? Have you heard of
what's his full name?
Darrell Velsant. He fights out of South Florida. He's like a 23-year-old. He might be like 12-0 with 10 knockouts. Has braids, lean, puncher. I saw him on pro box.
I might have to look him up, because I used to go to a lot of those pro box fights when they were in Plant City, and then that's when like Paulie would be there. But now they're like going to DC, Cali. They're all over now. Yeah, I used to go to like a lot of those fights. But pro box is like.
So we're floating between 100 and 110 in this live stream. Make sure you like the video, please. If you're not following More Boxing, do it now. More, what would you give? What's your philosophy or feedback on to all the boys on Pro Box now charging $5? What's your advice to that?
I need to get that membership, but I think it's worth it, because a lot of times you get, that's why I'm glad there's people like me and Johnny in this space and all the people that you've done live streams with, because people look at just the big fights and they're like, oh, well, boxing doesn't give you these fights. Pro box has some fights of guys that you've never even heard of, and these are bangers. Guys from Colombia, from Mexico. That's what I like, that they're international, and it gives people a chance. I mean, you got one guy this weekend that's fighting the Cuban fighter, and he's coming from Pro Box.
Yo-Yo. Yoeli Hernandez?
Yes, he's fighting
Oh,
Yo-Yo. The guy
yeah.
he's fighting
He's fighting Francisco Veron.
yes, from the
Argentina.
Argentinian guy. He's
Yo,
a
bro.
guy for Pro Box.
The real ones know. That's a firefight. My only
Yeah.
issue with that is like Francisco's coming up from 54, and dude, did you watch Yo-Yo? Because Yo-Yo's Coach Bermudez, Hector, he's in our chat. He's in our Discord, so we're always trying to yeah, he's a great dude. Did you watch Yo-Yo versus Gachet?
Yes. I lost money because I had that fight going the over.
What's your take on, like, what? I'm sorry, boys, for rewinding. It kind of makes sense because Yo-Yo's in a big fight against Francisco Veron. For me, if I were to have questions on a fighter, because I'm the type of guy to be super hesitant on ordaining any sort of prospect or up and comer as the next in line. Like, for me to do that, I have my own checklist and I have to see that they prove it to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
For Yoenli against Gachet, I went to that fight and I took distance and I got burned. And it was because Gachet had never been stopped, Olympic pedigree, classy. Even though he was 37, I was like, he's going to challenge Hernandez in ways that I question. His gas tank, his psychology late in a fight. And I feel like those first 3-4 rounds when Yo-Yo was landing those big shots, a lot of them optically they didn't look good, but a lot of them were landing on the gloves. Yeah, and I saw old veteran in Gachet executing a game plan.
Yeah.
I saw a guy who was pulling a young guy into the middle rounds and then seeing how he could swim in the deep water. And when the ref stopped it, I didn't care about my bet at the time. I just was like, damn it. Now I don't have those answers. And I was thinking about a future bet. And now we're here with Veron. And I'm like, Veron's a big, young, confident. It's just his size. He's going to be a little bit undersized.
Yeah, initially when I first saw that line, I was telling my Discord, I'm like, Yo-Yo by stoppage in this fight. Veron is moving up. I mean, but then I watched Veron fight against punchers, and like when I look at Yo-Yo, I mean, because a lot of guys now, Cuban fighters are fighting different now. Now they're coming in with power. They're not just coming in with footwork. And with Yo-Yo in that Goucher fight, he was just loading up on shots. Goucher's eating it on the gloves. But Veron is going to be moving. Veron is going to be sticking the jab, throwing combinations, moving. And Veron has great cardio. He's able to move around. But when he gets hit by Yo-Yo, I just don't know what his response would be. I just wish that Yo-Yo, I mean, we know he can fight out of orthodox, he can fight out of southpaw, but he's looking to get you out of there. There's no secret. But I think like on the cards, it could be a situation where it could get kind of spooky. Like, all right, we need Yo-Yo to, pick it up and get this guy out of here because of the work rate. Yo-Yo is going to be looking to land shots. He's not necessarily looking to land big shots, not necessarily working behind the jab, breaking the guy down. But if Veron is just constantly moving, jabbing, like when he fought, what's the guy's name that Boots knocked him out, but he had upset Rashidi Ellis, the Colombian guy. Like when Veron fought him, people were like, oh, he's gonna knock Veron out. I'm like, Veron has a good gas tank, but I also think, hey, this is PBC. They got Veron moving up. Anytime you are jumping, anything more than 5 pounds, I think that's a drastic difference when it comes to professional boxing. So he's going from 154 to 160. Yo-Yo has been in camps with Boots, with Canelo. I remember somebody was criticizing him like, oh, he was stopped in sparring by Boots. I'm like, that's a criticism?
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah.
One is sparring, but
yeah.
Two, we don't even know if that's true. You just see like the wildest things. But I think I obviously have Yo-Yo winning, but I think he gets him out of there, but I don't think it's going to be early. But I think it's going to be a tougher fight than I initially thought when I first saw the matchup.
Okay, shout out to Terry Lance. Terry's former pro boxer. I've been trying to Terry, check your Instagram DMs, big fella. I've been trying to get him to do live with me. He says Yo-Yo isn't blowing his load, bro. He may slow down and not be as active as rounds 1 through 4, but he's in shape to last. And we know he's well coached. Shout out to Coach Bermudez. Veron has a jab and can move a little bit, but that's not going to be enough. What we saw Veron lose to Brandon Adams, which in my people sleep on Brandon Adams. He's not the
Yeah.
youngest anymore, but we saw when Brandon Adams what he just did against Boa, and we want to see more of Brandon, right? Brandon's a tough night out. That's a lot to deal with. And then I think the guy you were talking about, boot starch, was Roman Villa with
Yes.
Veron Howell. And at one time, Roman Villa was a guy who was known for being a big puncher, and then in boxing, we like to have revisionist history. You know what I'm saying? We like to think, when we break down, I know Terry was, is friends with Bud, and he's been in a lot of Crawford's camps back in the day. And what I bring this up because when people talk about Crawford's resume and they try to poke holes in it, and who's the Cuban the Cuban puncher? He might still be fighting, and Bud fought him on.
Oh, at 35?
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
You see this time and time again.
he fought
And Bud,
Tank, ruptured his Achilles in that
yeah,
fight. I can't think of his
yeah.
name. Yeah,
You know who I'm talking about, though. And then all of a sudden, oh, he wasn't that good. I remember when
Gamboa.
Gamboa, yeah. And I remember when my boy, I was at this fight when I grew up with Kelly Padlock. I'm not trying to name drop, but for the sake of this chat, when Kelly fought a guy named Edson Miranda, Miranda was the favorite. Miranda was the puncher. And when Kelly knocked him out, oh, that wasn't that good of it. Like people, we do this in boxing. Whenever, you know what I'm saying? All of a
Yeah.
sudden, they weren't that good. They weren't a good puncher. But on fight night, you guys weren't saying that. On fight night, you were saying that this kid is going to be challenged and tested. And when the young buck passed the test, it's never good enough, is it? It's
Right.
never like we're seeing this. We're seeing this. We see this week in and week out, but we know what the deal is. So Terry's saying Verona it's not going to be enough, and I kind of agree with this. You know what I'm saying? I've been burned in the last 12 months betting on really sort of storied amateurs coming out of Cuba, coming out of not just Cuba, France, Sumi Umaha when he fought Jesus Christ in France when he was a 4-1. I'm ranting here. Who beat Umaha? Fonseca or like
Oh,
Albert
wow.
Badergazi when Badergaziev fought Jazza Dickens. So like I have kind of PTSD from jumping on board too quick with these storied amateurs. But I think of all of them right now who are pros, I think Yo-Yo I believe in the most with under like 15 pro fights. That's if we had to categorize what I'm trying to say.
You like him by
So
KO?
I don't know, man, because I like Veron, and I don't know how much of that is me being a loyalist to. So, like Veron is good. He's aggressive. He's proud. I think if Veron gets stopped, he's gonna want to get stopped. Like it's gonna be 50-50 exchanges. I could see Veron maybe slowing down. Yo-Yo putting him in a position, cutting the ring off, and forcing these 50-50 exchanges late. So right now, I haven't thought about a method of victory, but I looked at the odds, and to be honest, more. The odds for it's 67%, but I mean, it just depends on what you like. Do you believe in Veron enough to go the distance? It's a 10-rounder, right?
Yeah, I don't. I'm thinking.
Here's
I
my
don't
boy.
think it's gonna be early. I think he'll stop him around 7 or 8 because my thing I'm thinking about is Veron going
Okay.
up in 6 pounds. How is I mean, he's a well-conditioned fighter, but going up, is his cardio going to be impacted, after that 5th or 6th round because it's going to be constant pressure
And he
and
does
Yo-Yo's
keep
he's
that
going to
chin
throw big
high, man.
shots.
I don't like Veron when he's exiting, when he's, his lateral movement, he's tall. And so he sometimes, he gets away with it. But yeah, that's interesting. So Barium says, shout out to Barium Boxing. I don't have Twitter, but if you're on Twitter, follow him. This dude, he does the most in-depth fight prediction analysis is in my Discord, man. He had so much value. So when he speaks, I listen. Yo-Yo is too big, too mean, and too hungry. I don't think Veron can survive. Yo-Yo wants to make a statement as he's on the cusp of a world title shot. And you know what, Barium at 160, we've seen Shiraz going to 68. We've seen Adamas flirting with going to 68. We know Lara is 40s now. There's a lot of like younger guys ready to kind of take the throne at 160. And I've heard a lot of people say that Yo-Yo is that guy. Keith, do you agree with that? Do you feel that Yo-Yo is that guy who's going to carry that division?
Yeah, I think he absolutely can. Without a doubt. I like him a lot. Very well versed. I mean, he's been challenged early in his career, and he has. Whether we
He's
agree
fought the
with the
better
stop,
competition.
yeah, and whether we agree with the stoppage or not, I mean, he has that. He's the only person to stop Terrell Goucher.
Oh, you mean
And
Yo-Yo?
huh?
Oh, okay, my bad. Okay, yeah, I was. So you were talking about how yeah. Sorry to cut you off.
My bad. I may have misunderstood the question.
No. I got confused because I'm reading, I'm reading Dre's question and then
Oh,
missed it.
okay.
Yeah, so I asked you about Yo-Yo carrying the 160-pound
Yeah,
division.
no, I think absolutely. I mean, he's been well tested. I think, and I think they're moving him smart by Verone. That's a good fighter. That's a good name. Verone, like I said, he's tough competition, but I think him being a smaller guy, um, taking those body shots, I think are by round 7 or 8 that he's just going Yo-Yo's going to wear Verone down and get him out of there. But I do think leading up to that, it'll be some rounds where it's competitive because Verone will be moving, working behind the jab. But I just think he's going to have to slow down because again, that's Yo-Yo's a big guy.
Guys, if you're not following Jay Knows Boxing, do it now. Just started his YouTube. He's a sharp. He's a beast. Verone is hands down the best opponent Yo-Yo has ever faced. And you got to, Verone has fought the better competition when you look at his resume. Verone is the youngest opponent. See, Verone is the youngest opponent Yo-Yo's. So what are you saying, Jay? Jay, you can't just, maybe, let me see the comments. Here he is. Is he saying Verone's live? Verone with skin and bones at 54, 6 pounds. Okay. So, Jay, are you standing on business? Are you saying Verone is live? We need to see it. Let's go. Let's leave something for us. Verone's accuracy will surprise Yo-Yo. Yo, JSB, are you worried at all about Teo's relationship with his dad? Nope. Samuel says I'm taking the over 8.5. Okay. I think because there's a couple of these fights. I do agree that I think Antoine Russell versus Santian is going to be close. It's going to be stressful. It's going to be one of those ones that whoever you bet on, it's going to be stressful. I think Carlos Utria, I don't think the Carlos Utria fight is going to be close, but I could be wrong, right? I could be getting sort of big-eyed because of what I saw in the Grand Prix, right? And maybe that's because I watched Dylan Biggs win it, and I rate Dylan Biggs. He's an Aussie domestic guy who only lost to Nikita, and I think that's Nikita's best win. I digress. But this one, people are really thinking that Yo-Yo could get fraud checked. And I'm not saying I agree with it, but it's kind of the one with the big odds that I could entertain the idea. And so that's why I'm asking Jay, where all right, Jay, what is Verone's path to victory? Is he gonna win rounds? Is he gonna hurt Yo-Yo? Is he gonna force Yo-Yo to a plan B? Distance on Verone versus Yo-Yo. Okay, so he likes just the distance.
And then we also got to think we on the PBC card.
And who's the A side?
Yo-Yo.
Yeah, exactly. So all right, Jay, if the distance isn't paying me plus money, you're going to have to pick a side, bro. So will the fight go the distance? Yes. Okay, look at my man.
Okay.
My man has done it. How do I ever doubt this guy? I know that he would have done his research and he knows what kind of bets I like. So that's a plus 125.
And it's 10 rounds?
And it's 10 rounds. And this could kind of serve both palates of respecting Verone enough. You know what I'm saying? And still, what's Terry saying? I agree with the close fight with JR and Santian. I was going with JR, but the more I looked at it, I took that fight off of all my tickets. The distance is over. It's good, but I that one's going to be close.
I like the distance on that too.
Same. Okay, so guys, for you prop bettors, if you're on the fence, this says something. I mean, when you look at how wide the money lines are, Verone's a 9-1 dog. Usually, historically speaking, a fighter who's a 9-1 dog will tend to be equally as big of a pick to get knocked out. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But for him to be a 9-1 dog and the fight to go the distance, the sharps think that this is going to be a competitive sort of nip and tuck affair in which Yo-Yo gets the decision. I don't hate this bet. I don't
Yeah,
hate that bet.
it just scares me late in that fight.
Same.
Yeah, it just scares me late in that fight when, because I mean, Verone, he's not gonna be a guy that runs. It's gonna come like if he's down on the cards round 7 through 10, I think he's gonna come. He's gonna try to get it. He's gonna try to go get it.
Henry disagrees, which I respect. Utria is fighting Mercado. That dude is tough as nails. 31-year-old vet. Yep. Keith explained all that. Why is Utria minus 900? The odds, you guys know how this goes, boys. Sometimes these odds are insane. Even if he wins, it'll be closer than those. I don't think so, man. See, what my pushback on that, Henry, is I rate Utria. I think his speed, explosivity, I think his youthfulness, I think his determination on the front foot, and I think his power. He could punch, and we'll see if that record, we've seen it happen before, either inflated Colombian domestic records, inflated, pick a country. We've seen it happen before, but he earned my respect watching his last 4 fights in the Grand Prix tournament, and the A side against Mercado. I like it. I'm probably going to play Utria by knockout, just so everybody knows.
Ooh.
I know. I think that's what I'm going to play, because I got to stand up business too. I'm not a fence sitter out here. If I'm going to make a read, I'm gonna go down with the sinking ship.
What are the odds on that? What are the odds on him by KO?
They're not. That's the thing, and that's why I haven't gone live with it yet. They're not that good, and they kind of go against. Like, I don't tend to like playing knockout props if it's only like a 40% return.
Right.
We have our moments, some Taramona, Moses Ituama. Like, you have your moments. But with a guy like Utria, who does have questions at the world level against a vet, a tough vet like Mercado, that's my hesitation. But I do think Carlos does have the skill to win a point. So I'll see. I hopefully I don't do an emotional one. Distance is a plus money. Yeah, I'm taking Mercado. There you go, boys. So guys, I'm not telling anybody who to pick, and I've never sat on this and told you that I know everything. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you what I see, and I don't try to act or project myself like I know more than you. We both got educated communities. So if you guys are looking for a dog, Blue Collar is telling you he's going with Mercado. I've heard other people say that as well. I politely disagree. Lucas Mattisy was a huge dog against Zab and almost horseshoes and hand grenades, John. Almost. Is that a Midwest saying? I think that's. Did you grow up with that saying?
Yeah, that's Midwest, yeah.
Or horseshoes and hand grenades. If Thomas Taylor is the ref for the yo-yo fight, don't bet the distance. Yeah, Thomas Taylor.
I mean, that's also another thing we have to think about with the yo-yo fight. If Verone is not punching back, like,
true.
I mean, if he on the ropes getting punched, is the ref going to just come in and wave it off? Because we've seen some crazy stuff lately.
Okay. We know he's his uncle. We know he's Tito's uncle. Tito all of a sudden is everyone's favorite fighter. It's good to see. And it's unfortunate we didn't get to see him do his thing. But once again, let's pump the brakes a little bit on the Tito Mercado glaze. If his name was Jason Smith, and he fought the same guys, and he like boxing, we have to understand boxing is romantic. We love nicknames. We love where we come from. Tito has a good fan-friendly style, but he's by no means a perfect fighter. So, I've won money on him. Let's continue on this card, and he's not really being matched with. My chat went crazy last week about the Tito Mercado's the future of the division and all this stuff, and I'm like, let's slow down. How would Tito do against Andy Hiroka? You know what I'm saying? Like, people sleep like Hiroka. I think people don't talk about enough. Hiroka was very competitive with GAR.
What's crazy is people criticize GAR after that fight. I'm like,
that's crazy.
Hiroka is a great fighter.
A great fighter.
It's a reason nobody wanted to fight him.
Yeah,
it's a great fighter to fight him. I'm like, and the odds were close. I'm like, it's not like Gary Russell was supposed to blow him out.
Nah, people just didn't know
after he lost to Albert Puello.
Yeah. And Puello's really good, dude. 140 has a lot of good fighters with a lot of different styles. You know what I mean? You don't see a lot of like cookie cutter styles at 140. You got tall, long rangy southpaws. You got power punchers, and you
Mm-hmm.
know Gary GAR against Puello. To me, he got up early, and then it looked like I don't want to say he kind of like allowed Puello to fight himself back into the fight, and then lost a close decision. But then that performance he put on against Ryo was absolutely masterful.
Yeah.
And the Hiroka guys is the same guy, Hiroka stopped at one time. Jin Sasaki's only loss was getting stopped against Hiroka, and Jin Sasaki's the guy that Brian Norman Jr. went to Japan to fight. It's not like they brought Sasaki to Georgia to
Yeah.
fight Brian
At 147. So
at one.
Sasaki's smaller,
Yeah,
smaller
yeah,
guy moving up to
that was
47.
such a wild knockout. That was such a crazy knockout. Are you deep into? Have you gone deep into the UK card or no?
At a high level, Tia Aiden, I'm on her. George Litter, and I'll be honest, UK cards
Oh,
are not my favorite because it seems like it's always some BS that happens with those cards.
uh-huh.
And like the Jimmy Saints fight, I'm staying away from that fight.
Okay.
I'm staying
Okay.
away from. What's your thoughts on that one?
Okay. So Jay asked more. Do you think Calling's live? More answered you. He said he's staying away. Me personally, Jimmy Sains, 25, 26-year-old, big puncher, young, aggressive. I like it. I think he's 12-0 with 10 knockouts. For me, when I'm looking at Tom Calling's getting a lot of credit for the Bowen fight. But Cowling and Jimmy Sains over the last 18 months share a common opponent. And the difference is Cowling lost and Jimmy knocked him out. I know we don't like doing freaking boxing mats, but I like Jimmy here in this position. I think I like Jimmy by stoppage. I played Sains by knockout on a
Who
sneaky.
did Jimmy fight? Derek Osazi in his last fight?
Yeah, and because dude, Osaze is a tricky guy. He doesn't stop him and he wins a close decision. And people, he must suck because Derek Osaze took him to deep water. But
Yeah, it
like
was.
he's only 25.
And I had Jimmy winning that by KO, so it was crazy. I
Okay.
did a prediction video on that,
Okay.
and then since he didn't get the KO, Derek came and commented like on the video, like, "What do you have to say now?" I was
Who
like,
came? Oh, Osaze?
"Oh, so I
Yeah.
say,
So the fighters get, dude, I was getting trolled by Brian Norman Sr. for like 6 months on a video that I did promoting his son's fight. I picked his son to beat Devin and I got trolled for that shit. And Brian, like the dad, Pops, must have read something wrong. I was like, bro, I had to take it to Instagram. I was like, I chose your son. Like, what are you talking about? But they
I
get,
picked him to win." Yeah,
yeah.
I
You,
picked Brian Norman to win too.
yeah, I'm getting trolled by now is the kid from Texas who went to Japan and beat Kenneth Lover, that 33-year-old prospect. I called him a 33-year-old prospect.
Wait,
An-
who's trolling you? The kid, the fighter
Angeletti.
is
No, Angeletti is in my comments.
Michael
Michael,
Angeletti.
yeah, Michael Angeletti. I thought he lost the fight. To this day, he gets dropped early. He won some later rounds, but I
They
still
fought what, like
have.
2 months ago? They fought
Yeah,
recently,
two
like two
months
months
ago
ago.
in Japan. Yeah, and it was like a 50-50 fight, but they gave Angeletti a split. But yeah, fight, dude, and this is why from the work you do, from what I've seen your content, it's kind of why you never hear me bash fighters. You never hear me talk derogatory about them because we just saw what happened with Pritchard Cologne. We know the kid from the UK is. I think he might still meet a medically induced coma. We just watched him fight 3 weeks ago on a Matchroom card. Real life consequences, right? And so it's why I value your work and I respect your work as well because you kind of hold it in revelry like I do. And it might not get us the most followers and we might not have 200,000 subs because I guess respect doesn't sell.
Yeah, no,
People
it doesn't.
people want
But
to see like polarizing stuff and pseudo takes. And
drama,
I respect you because you don't do that.
I appreciate it. And then we also know what it's like to actually like
Bo-
box
Box and get
and
hit.
be around other fighters. Like these people, like these guys, legit, and women, when they go in the ring, a lot of them they will say like, "I'm prepared to lose my life in there," because you're literally getting hit in your head. Like I fought in 2023, and I'm like, it was like one of the things I want to have like an official USA boxing fight. But I'm
Nice.
like, this is crazy. Like I'm in here fighting
That's great.
somebody I don't know, and we in here like seriously trying to hurt each other.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. What were your intentions for taking the fight though? Just for the life experience?
Yeah, so I always loved boxing growing up. I grew up in St. Louis, but then I worked in corporate for 9.5 years, did cybersecurity. Then I transitioned into strength and conditioning, working with fighters. And I'm like, I want to have an official fight. I did an exhibition in 2022, but I wanted like the USA boxing fight. So
You
then
did
in May
camp? So you were in camp
2023,
and everything.
yeah, I did a
What
training
gym did you
camp.
train at?
What gym?
Yeah.
So it's a gym out here in Wesley Chapel, Florida called Lights Out Boxing.
Nice.
And then my coach's name is Coach Gary. So he's worked with bare knuckle fighters. It was a guy back in the day named Sammy Valentine, called him Hurricane. He lost to it's Santillan. Is that Robert Garcia's fighter's name that lost to Brian Norman, but he was a
Gio.
champ?
Yeah,
Yes.
Gio.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that was like a big loss. But so I did like a full camp. My camp was about 10 weeks, had a fight, got a knockout in the last round.
Nice.
But
And
it
that was
was,
it?
yeah, that was it. Well, also I got a cut on my cornea in sparring. And it's just like little things like that. It's like, I'm out here doing this for free. I'm not getting
Yep.
paid. I'm fighting at 147 pounds.
Yeah.
So
A
I
grown
still
ass
like,
man. A
yeah,
grown
like
man
I got
with
a
people.
family.
Yeah.
I got
What
a
am I
wife.
doing? Like
Yeah.
I'm out here with a cut cornea? Like, what are we
Right.
talking
My
about?
cornea cut. So I
Yeah.
still train. I still
Yeah.
train fighters under like
Nice.
USA Boxing. I got some guys also with some fights coming up September 5th at my gym. It's like a exhibition, but I'll spar a little bit, but nothing, no hard sparring or anything like that anymore. Mainly just to like stay in shape and stay active.
Is the Lights Out name is that just an homage to James Toney?
No, so it's like the gym is like legit when you come in there. They have classes and then they have a portion where fighters are trained. So during the classes, the lights are out and it's like LED lights on the mirrors.
Okay. Okay.
So
Because
it's lights out boxing. Yeah.
that was one of my favorite fighters as a kid.
James Lights Out Tony.
Oh, come
He
on.
working
From
with
like
is he working with Ryan Garcia right now?
I've seen him do. I'm not quite sure. I'm
Okay.
not
I
quite
saw
sure,
like
but
I thought I saw
his
something
style,
online, but I
dude, from
wasn't
like
sure.
90, I think from like 93 to 98, that James Toney fucking shoulder roll in the pocket, catching, countering is one of the most beautiful boxers for for that amount of time.
And he'll fight at any weight class.
But like 160 to 168 pound James Toney. That
Yeah.
when he was, oh my God, he was just gorgeous. His timing, intuition, his aggression, he was durable,
Yeah.
crazy. So Henry says Tom Count. We'll cut this off shortly, guys. I know you guys got stuff to do. More got a life. I got a life. We could talk boxing for days. It's the best sport in the world. So Henry goes, Tom Cowley, due to so average. This is all about how Sane responds to those says he close call. Yes, I agree. I thought more boxing and Barian boxing was his name.
I haven't
Barian
seen
boxing
Barry
is
boxing. So you
Bar
said follow him on
on
X.
Twitter. Yeah,
Okay.
if you're on X, follow him. He's in my Discord. Um, like I have in another world, in another life, I was a writer, and I published a couple different books, and so I do value the art of pensmanship. And in boxing, like the way he writes, and he does full analysis breakdowns, method of victories, and they're like long.
I
I
got him.
love reading them.
I just
Yeah,
followed him too.
follow him. Yeah, you'll find a lot of value. And so somebody said they thought you two were the same person. Tony is okay. So Keith, yeah, Tony's working with Ryan. That that's a net positive. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Whenever you could link up with one of the greats, and you could pick the brain of like, the value he's going to add are all the little things that you can't track on paper, like
Yep.
maneuverability, instinct sort of stuff, like trap sort of stuff. Like that's just the minutia of the sport. And I
Mm-hmm.
think Ryan is a guy. My frustrations with him have always been, you could tell as a young kid he always had power and always had hand speed, and sometimes that's a double-edged sword in terms of development, because you could just lean on that. And then you could see him now as a pro. He didn't work. He doesn't have a well-rounded skill set. I'm not saying this is true. It's just my hypothesis. Probably because as a young amateur, everybody was telling him about how good his hook was or how great his hand speed was.
Yeah,
because there's so many
talent.
gaps there. There's gaps there.
Yeah, like when I was watching his footwork against Rolly, I'm like, what is this? Oh, and another thing I was thinking about, I want to bring it up. Are we taking into account the layoff that Rolly has had going into this fight?
And no one's talked about it. I mean, we haven't seen when was the Ryan fight?
Last
Times
May,
Square was. It's been over a year.
it's been over
No
a
one's
year.
no one's even talked about that. That's a good call. I'm my boots are dug in. You know, this is why I love chatting and breaking it down is because I'll go into the live stream with my ideas, and sometimes I leave a little stressed. I'm standing on business still with Teo, but you guys got me thinking about Carlos Utrias. I'm gonna revisit that. And then I was never comfortable with Antonio Russell in terms of like Keith. I never go into fight weekend comfortable with any of my picks. By the way, like I'm not the guy like, dude, this is a lock. I don't use the word lock. I'm like, this shit is stressful. Anything can happen out here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but and then who was the other one you guys brought doubt into my head? What was the other fight? The Francisco Varane. I'm like, gee, and Jimmy Sains. Jesus, this weekend could be a collapse for me.
Now for me, Jimmy Sains, that was more so like UK cards. I'm just I just don't mess with them. But I'm on George Litter and Tia Aiden. I'm on them, but anything else on the
I like
UK
Tia
card,
too. I like George too, man. I like George, his youthfulness, his size, his aggression, his athleticism. He's another guy, though, for me that I get frustrated. The coach in me gets frustrated when you see a fighter who ticks all of the sort of skilled boxes, and the questions are sort of like tactical or discipline stuff, like executing a game plan, rushing, or not being patient with your punches, or getting over your lead foot, or you know not changing speeds up, tempo. And so with
mm-hmm.
George, when I see George fight, I'm like, that's kind of, and those are fixes. Those are all fixable. But from the physical side, there's a lot to like about George Littard. Well,
Yeah,
he's fighting Morello, an Italian who's never been out of Italy. I like Littard probably again for the stoppage.
yeah, I agree. I like
Do you
him by
like Littard for the
stoppage.
stoppage?
Yeah,
Okay,
and
so we're
then
gonna wrap
and
it
he's
up.
gonna go for it. So yeah, I
We'll
like
take a
that.
few more questions. Guys, if you're not following more boxing on YouTube, do it now. Let's go, Jay. Love the way you brought us all together. We up. Dude,
We up.
dude, think about it. We're a rare community of people who just love the sport of boxing, and we like to lay our hard-earned cash to make some money. Johnny and Moore, do you think Teo will be able to adjust to things not going his way? That's on you, Keith. Answer that.
Yeah, I think so. And then again, there I know it's just sparring, but these guys are familiar with one another. They're both fighting at the highest level. I I don't think there's going to be a lot to adjust to with Rolly. I think he's just going to have to watch out for the power, and he knows that. Stay on the outside, box, don't exchange early, work Rolly's body, frustrate him, and just outbox him. But I don't think there's going to be a lot of adjusting he's going to have to do. He's just going to have to be careful. That's how I feel. So yeah, I think that if there is a need for him to adjust, I think he will. Do I think that advice will come from his dad? No, I think that will just be Teo using his own boxing IQ.
And that's kind of what he is when he's at his best, though. One of his strengths is his being able to improvise, his
Hmm.
sort of reaction time. He's very creative in there. He's almost like when Teofimo is cooking, he's a joy to watch. Like he's one of those fighters to where if you just saw the ring and just saw a silhouette of the fighter and saw his movements, you would know that that was Teofimo Lopez. He's a unique, he has a unique style to him, and it revolves around that athleticism, reflexes, and speed. And Raleigh, I mean, I think one of Raleigh's biggest attributes that we haven't mentioned is I think Raleigh has really good timing. He has an
Hmm.
ability to time you with kind of like telling a fake story that he's not in a position because he has really good, upper torso mobility. He's like his feet are stationary, but he's able to kind of be here and then be here and not be moving. And then, we've seen that was that lead hook that caught Ryan. I don't, man. Hopefully, I'm not overlooking Raleigh because if we were playing a likable contest, I like Raleigh. I cheer for Raleigh. I think it's a great story. Um, guys,
And
we got to wrap it up.
and
Anything
then
else?
I was gonna say
Yep.
one
Leave
more
us with
reason
some.
I'm rooting. I kind of want Teo to win is because Rolly, when they ask about Devin Haney, Rolly's like, I don't want to talk about him. But Teo's like, no, I want to make the fight with Devinhaney. If I win this, like I want to see these guys fight.
Okay, let's leave. You know what? We can't get off yet because now I got to add. You brought it up. Let's say Teo wins and
Okay.
Teo becomes a champion. And now at 147, we got Teo, we got Devin, we got Liam Perro, and who am I missing at 47?
Ryan.
Or does and Ryan?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, of the 4 champions, Ryan, Teo, Liam, and Devin. We've already seen Devin and Ryan. I know a lot of people want to see that again in a new weight class. I want to see how Teo, like, who would you want to see if Teo fight if he wins? Devin, you want to see the Devin fight?
I honestly would want to see, Teo and Devin. But Devin, they're saying that he may be fighting Liam Pearl next, like they're allegedly in negotiations.
I just rewatched George versus Devin, the first one down here in Australia. I cannot believe how Devinhaney looks like on the scales. After we get off, just YouTube the way how they look like. Devinhaney looks like, I can't believe how much weight he was cutting to make that weight.
Was that at 35?
It was at 35.
That was at 35?
Yeah,
or was
it's
that
insane.
40?
Either or, he looked.
It may have been 35.
I think it was at 35.
Okay.
That could be because George was a 30-pounder coming up to 35. So it could have been a 40. I could be wrong.
And then I remember like how Devin looked when he fought Loma. Like when Loma was standing looking at him in the ring, he's like, "You a heavyweight."
That's insane. Who do you think would win? Do you think Liam Paro beats Teofimo?
Ooh, I don't know. That's a good fight. That's a good fight.
Because the crazy thing for me is all the guys that have belts have come from lighter divisions, and I always talk about in boxing the jump from 40 to 47, that 7-pound gap. That is the one for me that is one of the most difficult to jump, coming up when you're like a 35er, 40, and then you go to 47. And we watched Liam kind of struggle. Liam struggled with 2 bigger welterweights in Popo and Lewis Crocker. And, do you think, like, where do you think Patty Donovan fits into this equation at 47? Do you rate him?
I mean, he's solid, but I don't think out of the guys we just named, I don't think that he beats any of those guys.
All right, then the last question: who's the king at 47?
Sheesh. I'm gonna get some flack for this. I mean,
no, this is not like they know we're not fans of fighters, but like you're kind of being put on the spot. To like, if you were to put a hierarchy at 47 without putting much thought into it, who's the first name that comes to mind?
I have to say Devinhaney.
Yeah. What would the chat say? Chat, it says that you guys, there's still 100 people in here. Who is the man at 147? And of the non-champions at 147, who is the dark horse that kind of people are overlooking at 47? Because to me, there's guys at 40. Like, think about Boots, how Boots is reign at 47, and Errol at 47. These are bigger dudes who should have been at 54 or 60, who had boiled themselves down. The current state of 47 are guys who were smaller, who had come up. And so that's why I think that the division isn't as secure as it seems. I think there's guys that could give a lot of the champions a run. What's the chat saying? Oh, they're trying to. They know who I like, and one person said it. You know who my dark horse is at 147? Let's go. Let's go. Oh boy,
Ohio.
Tiger, baby.
Ohio.
Yes, sir. Dude, Tiger Johnson. I want Tiger to get that Devin fight.
You want him to get that fight? You think you're ready for it now?
Tiger to get that. I mean, he's 20. What better time than now, man? I like how he's filled out at 47. I like his skill set. I like his jab. I think that, he's mean. He's sitting on his punches. Maybe I'm just seeing.
I like that he's with Bomac.
Yeah.
Personally, like, I like Tiger Johnson. But I don't think he's ready for Dev.
For Devin?
I don't
Yeah,
think he
Dev.
and like if they do fight, I just hope that it can stay boxing because of all the stuff that happened outside the ring. I
Yeah,
hate seeing stuff like that. I'm like, man, you all make your money. If you're
yeah,
not cool, cool, but don't keep the extra stuff out of it.
yeah. Yeah, what's the chat saying? So James says Dev, and it's hard to argue, man. Dev, dude, when you look, we're not fans of fighters. We're fans of the sport. You're gonna be hard pressed to find a resume with a guy who's not even 30 like Devin Haney. Devin Haney, he fights anyone. His resume, who he's been in there with, and say what you will about him, but who beats him at 40? Hitchens. Some people saying Hitchens. I don't mind Hitchens at 47. I like Hitchens' jab. I like his speed. I think he's underrated. Um, and Hitchens. How would Hitchens fare? We saw Hitchens beat Perro at 140.
I think Hitchens and Devin Haney would be a hell of a fight.
Same. Keyshawn. But what do we get? Keyshawn's not. Keyshawn is Keyshawn going to 47?
I
You
mean,
know what I'm
he
saying?
at 40, he's already missing weight. So I imagine like he may as well go to 47. I think he's another guy that could win it at 47. I was hoping we got to see him and Dev. I thought that was gonna be a
I
hell of a
know.
fight, but I don't dislike the Tiger fight. I just
Yeah.
don't want it to be something that's too soon for Tiger because again, Devin Haney, the way that he's been moved throughout his career, he's been moved like very well. He's like
Yeah.
an elite guy now.
Professionally. Like shout out to Bill. Shout out to
Yeah.
Bill. He's been professionally moved
Yes.
with a plan in place to have a Hall of Fame career. And there's a way to do it. And Bill learned from guys who came before him from a marketing perspective.
And then you have guys that'll be criticizing Bill. I'm like, he's doing what he's
Bill's
supposed to do to promote his
yeah.
son. And where's Devin? In the
Bill's an
gym
OG.
training.
Bill's an OG. I watched a documentary about Bill being when he was back in his young buck days in Oakland when he was in the music scene, and he was a promoter and a marketer. Like Bill Haney's been
Hustling.
in the Bill Haney's been in the game for successful in the game. I got a
Yeah.
lot. I like Bill, man.
Yeah, I like Bill a lot.
Yeah, people hate on him, but like you can't say Dev would have the career he's had and the money he's made without his father. And
No, absolutely not.
think about the difference how Bill operates versus how Teo Senior operates,
Yeah.
and then think about the bankroll. I'm not trying to like gatekeep their wallets, but you got to think that Dev has probably made an exorbitant amount more than Teofimo Lopez, even though Teo on paper, even though he has some losses early on, Teo was the guy, man.
Mm-hmm.
20, 21, 22 years old, Teo was the guy. And it's kind of like, are we watching a career? Are people going to say, let's say Teo loses, are people going to say what could have been with Teo, even though he's already a 2 division champ?
That's why I think like he's in a situation
There's a
where
lot of pressure, isn't there?
it's a lot of pressure on Teo. Because it like if Rolly loses again, it's like Rolly already exceeded
He's not supposed to
expectations.
be there. Yeah, Rolly isn't supposed to be there.
Yeah, and I can see Rolly like, okay, I lost, whatever. But Teo, I just think mentally it would be like a hard pill for him to swallow.
All right, guys, on that. Now, when are you dropping your next video, man?
I'll drop one tomorrow. I mean, you all already heard my prediction for Teo, but I'm still gonna
Yeah.
drop one on that.
Okay.
I was just in Indiana. I don't know if you all have ever heard of a derecho. They had a derecho in Indiana, which is a storm that covers a 250-mile radius, and there was a bunch of tornadoes like in the Chicago area and the Indiana area. So I was just without power for like 3 days, trees
That's
down.
scary.
So I had to get back home and like get everything up and running. But I'll have a video out tomorrow, Friday, and then I'm gonna drop my tickets in the members only section as well for this weekend. But you all know my upset. I'm rolling with Israel Mercado. I already took him plus 500.
Let's go.
What either me or Johnny gonna be happy on
It's
Saturday, but I'm
good.
gonna be watching that fight because
It's
I may
good.
be really underestimating Nutria. So
It's good. Yeah, and I'll put everybody knows if you guys aren't following more boxing, do it now. And Keith, next time I'll come on yours and we'll do this. Let's do this more and more, man.
yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I'll stay in contact, and when whenever we got cars like this, we'll chop it up because I definitely want to talk about some pro box cards, and then probably Corey Marksman, I think, next weekend.
Yeah.
Good
He's a
fight.
diamond. Marksman's another diamond in the rough. He's one of these guys that I kind of compare to, like, when I saw Tony Hirsch Jr. his first fight against Merriweather on Zuffa, and I saw how good he was, I was like, how have I never heard of him? And then when he looked better against Pei Benito, I was like, this dude is a diamond in the rough.
Straight out of Oakland.
Oakland. I didn't know they had a domestic scene, and it's kind of like, well, this is a perfect example why opportunities, when they come, if you're a young fighter, you got to take them and be in shape. And also, how many guys are there like Corey Marksman and Tony Hirsch Jr. out there that we don't know about that just haven't gotten their opportunity yet?
And that's why we
exciting.
watch all
That's
the
exciting.
cards, like
Yes.
the pro box. That's why we watch those cards.
100%. Good luck with all your bets this weekend, man, and keep up the great work, all right?
I appreciate it. Thanks, Johnny. All right,
yes,
chat. Have a good one.
See ya. Woo! All right, guys. 90 minutes in. 80 of you guys still in here. You guys asked me to link up with Keith. There you go. Of course, groovy. I'm doing, so it's already 12 o'clock. The plan is I'm going to do 2 lives tomorrow. I'm going to do one super early, and then I'm going to do a UFC live. So I will be going live 2 times tomorrow. I still have to give you guys 2 more tickets. For everyone who's still on, who's a JSB insider, check your Patreon membership and check the YouTube slips. You guys should have my knockout prop, my money line parlay, my money line double, my dog of the week, and a method of victory. So there's 5 tickets. I still have to give you guys a UFC parlay and a UFC dog. But I know this might sound counterintuitive to the newbies here, but whenever I have a chat with someone like Keith who makes me challenge my reasoning and my ideas about how a certain fight is going to go, I value that. I think that's important. Whatever you guys are doing in life, I think it's really important to be open-minded enough to have somebody to where you guys could challenge each other's ideas, but do it in an educated way. Do it in a way to where you're not getting emotional, you're not taking it personal, etc. And that's why I love what I do, and I love what we're doing here, growing our community. So if you are a JSB insider on YouTube and Patreon and you're not in the Discord, DM me. You got to get in there. We streamed the Japanese fights last night. Shout out to Barry Unboxing. He gave you guys a 3-leg parlay that hit. So anybody and everyone who took the 3-leg, congrats on your hit. You're already going into the weekend with plus money. And on that note, I'll see you guys tomorrow.